Good afternoon, and welcome to the Citrix ADC, or formerly known as Citrix NetScaler webinar here with Coretech Services. My name is Robert Lovelace, one of our solution architects on our managed services team, as well as our Azure practice. Today, joining me in the webinar, I have Brett Decker. Brett, do a quick introduction.
Hi, yeah, I'm Brett Decker. I've been with Coretek here for about 5 years now, and I am an enterprise consultant on the cloud team.
And I have Sean Perry joining me as well. Sean?
Hello, I'm also on the managed services team. I've been with Coretech for about 2 years and handle most of the managed services responsibilities around ADCs and NetScalers.
Thanks, guys. So the agenda for today's webinar, we just went through the introductions. We want to talk through, obviously, Citrix Application Delivery Controllers. What are the challenges that application delivery controllers fix for your IT infrastructure? What is the core functionality of an ADC, proper ADC management, and then Coretech's ADC managed service offering that we have. And then at the end, we'll be opening up for any questions that you may have on specifics. So the first challenge is choice. There's a number of different choices out there when looking at a Citrix ADC, and it really depends on the type of infrastructure or environment you have, whether it's an on-prem infrastructure or a public cloud infrastructure in an Azure, AWS, or GCP. Brett, can you kind of take us through helping us make that decision and understanding what choices we have and which is the right choice for our infrastructure?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first place that we usually start is with your existing infrastructure, your existing data center. And we start looking at and assessing, what the long-term investment and what the best practices would be to help make sure that you're as secure as possible. Some customers like to stay with, maybe a bare metal infrastructure. And so that may lead them away from some of the other offerings that they would have, such as virtual appliances or in the cloud. We do see a lot of customers moving into the cloud space for the ADCs, where they're taking advantage of VPXs and a public cloud offering. We're starting to use containers for microservice deployment, such as Azure Kubernetes. Some of this will help you be able to scale out and expand faster by using some of these cloud solutions that are available. And they also offer some security benefits, especially in the container space, where you can do namespacing and network policies that allow you to publish as many ADCs as you need, but you can segregate the traffic to the appropriate backend that you need it to be routed to. So there's lots of different choices here, but we do see customers using a hybrid approach as well, where they may use some bare metal on-prem, and they may use some VIPs, or VPXs. And in that case, we're able to route the traffic in kind of a hybrid scenario. In some cases is used for disaster recovery as well, where they may have an on-prem that is failed over to, or a cloud that's failed over to.
Thanks, Brett. So now that we've understand and we've made our decision in which type of Citrix ADC is right for our infrastructure, we get into two challenges. We have the implementation challenge and the operation challenge. So Brett, let's talk about the implementation challenge. What's included in that, and what do we need to take into consideration when looking at implementing an ADC?
Yeah, so implementing an ADC is no easy feat when you have a large existing infrastructure that you're going to be integrating this into. So making sure that you have a good understanding of all the routing, any existing load balancers, firewalls, any independent routing that needs to be configured, or any NATing that needs to be configured is thought through up front and is made sure to be a prerequisite to starting your infrastructure deployment. Another implementation challenge when a customer is looking to deploy ADCs potentially globally is performing consistent deployment, maybe using a pipeline, templates, or other automation services that will help you get this deployed consistently. One of the last, implementation challenges we've got here is, getting the security and networking sign off, as well as the application team sign off on the changes that are going to be made, and making sure that everyone's on the same page of how the routing is then going to be affected, so that it can lead into supporting that ongoing ADC deployment.
All right. And so we've got the implementation challenges. We've got our ADC implemented. Now, Sean, kind of walk me through some of these operation challenges. What do organizations see around long-term operations in supporting these application delivery controllers?
Sure. So some of the key things that we like to manage when it comes to that would be full configuration management. So we do have tools where we backup, perform full backups of the NS config or the NetScaler config file, as well as all certificates that are installed, which kind of leads into certificate renewal and update. So it's really critical to make sure that all of your certificates remain valid and aren't expired in order for proper operation. So those are some things that on a day-to-day operational basis that we try to take care of and manage. We also look at things like throughput usage and analyze statistical data to make sure that that all of your load balancers are up and your NetScalers are operating properly.
Awesome. And then I would imagine, and as we kind of highlighted here as one of our bullets, the type of resource that is necessary to support a Citrix ADC is not your typical level 2 or help desk resource. This is a much more uniquely trained and skilled resource in both security and networking, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, and to add to that a little bit too, the real importance of having that high-level engineer helps ensure that no asynchronous routing is configured, and no extra security holes are left unattended during that operation stage.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so now we've got our ADC implemented. We're defining those operation challenges and understanding what it takes to maintain this technology. Now it's understanding the core functionality. What does it do for us? An application delivery controller provides secure access to internal applications, networks, VDI environments, fault tolerance for application services, and significantly improves application service scalability. It also enhances security with traffic inspection and web app firewall. At the end, we're trying to secure and create a reliable access to app services and VDI environments. What are some of the features within the application delivery controller, Sean, that can help us get there?
So a couple of them here that are pointed out would be caching and compression. So for static content that's just going to be redelivered to a client, we can actually cache that data on the NetScaler and leave the application itself out of the picture. So we reduce the amount of service requests that hit your backend application services. It also compresses traffic, so it offloads the compression of network traffic, from your application service to the network virtual appliance or the network appliance, the ADC in this case, to reduce the workload and improve scalability. In addition to that, and we really should have called it out here, is it also does SSL offloading. So the process of encrypting and decrypting data gets offloaded from your application service and gets moved to the NetScaler, which is a little more efficient in most cases than most application services.
Awesome. And Brett, do you have a couple you can add?
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see on here, the Citrix Gateway is a really important mechanism of the remote access connectivity, which the NetScaler, and now called ADC, provides. And then it does have integrations with Citrix SD-WAN, as Robert mentioned, web app firewall, MFA, and a lot of these security measures are used to help ensure that the traffic is protected, and it doesn't allow any vulnerabilities with that service connectivity.
Thank you. All right, Sean. So now we look at the life cycle of managing. So this is the ongoing support, that reoccurring, improving or patch management, config management. Kind of walk me through that life cycle. What does that entail? What needs to be thought through when you're thinking of configuration management, patch management, or update management, as well as monitoring?
Sure. So from a configuration management standpoint, it's critical to always have valid backups for your entire configuration. That way, in the event of a catastrophic failure, we can restore service expediently or in a fast manner. In addition to that, it's also critical to address any vulnerabilities that are announced by the vendor, Citrix in this case. In those cases, we would upgrade firmware / software on the VPXs or SDXs, as well as implement policy to mitigate any kind of security vulnerabilities or issues. And then in addition to that, it's really about monitoring your ADCs to make sure that they're operating properly and make sure that we're getting alerts or and analytical data to review later on to make sure that they're operating properly.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we've gone through selecting the proper ADC, some of the implementation challenges, the operation challenges, what the core functions of the ADC are, that life cycle of management and ongoing support. Now I want to speak to what Coretech can do to help you manage your Citrix ADC. So Coretech Services provides 24/7 monitoring and support of the Citrix ADC. This can be in a singular Citrix ADC, or this can be paired with an actual Citrix VDI environment that we can help you manage and support as well. We can help with account management, availability and performance management, the patch management that we talked about, that ongoing, making sure that everything's up to date. IT service management, incident, problem, and change management, automation and continual improvement, virus protection and proactive management, subscription and billing management if this is an Azure virtual ADC, monthly scorecard reviews of the health of the environment. Again, cloud engagement specialists if this is an Azure environment. Load balancing, helping manage that load balancing between the ADCs. Backup management, backing up configs. We can set up strategic strategy sessions, making sure that there's high availability between ADCs or any of the workloads that are relying on that ADC for load balancing, disaster recovery, and then security monitoring. And Coretech brings a number of applications or tools with our managed service offering. We leverage BMC Remedy Force for our process-driven or ITIL process-driven ticketing system, as well as Tenable for security scanning of the environment, and Logic Monitor for our monitoring of the environment. And I wanted to show you an example of Logic Monitor. So in this screenshot of Logic Monitor here, we're actually able to see at a quick glance our uptime SLAs, our appliance uptime, specifically how long has this ADC been up for. We can see network throughput, backup and backup status for each of the configs, SSL certification expiration, VIP status, and then any active alerts that may be showing within this NetScaler. And this is, again, from our tool Logic Monitor that we bring as part of our solution in supporting the environment. Brett or Sean, did you guys have any additional from the support side? Anything that that you wanted to add?
So yeah, just to add, Logic Monitor also allows us to perform full backups of the entire NetScaler configuration as well as the certificate store. So this is a tool that we leverage to automate the backup and restore process of a NetScaler. So it does all the fancy monitoring and alerting like you would expect, but it also allows us to back up the configuration.
Thanks, Sean. And at this point in time, I will open it up to any questions that may have come in. Kevin, can you help identify any questions?
Yeah, jumping in here, there are a few questions, but if anyone does have any additional questions, you can always put those in the chat and we can get those answered for you here. But the first question here, and it's most of these questions seem to be centered around Coretek and what we offer. The first one here is just asking about, do we provide vulnerability patching as part of our offer?
Yeah, we definitely do. So here at Coretek, we have a process for zero-day patching, and that goes for all of the environments that we support for our customers. So we would be able to notify you of the zero-day patch and then get your approval to schedule that patch as part of our change control. If it needs to go through a change advisory board, we follow any processes or procedures that our customers have in place. We will make sure that we follow those process and procedures, especially ones that are identified for zero-day patches in some sort of vulnerability that needs to be patched immediately. Brett or Sean, anything specifically that you wanted to add to zero-day patching or vulnerability patching? No? Okay. Next question.
Next up, we have, do we recommend config backups, and how do we manage?
Yes, we most definitely recommend configuration backups. Sean, do you want to take this one?
Sure, absolutely. So I think I did mention a little earlier that the Logic Monitor is capable of performing that backup that we'd like to take. If there's an existing MAS or ADM infrastructure in place, we would need or use that in lieu of Logic Monitor. So yeah, it's absolutely critical to get valid full backups of your NetScalers anytime a change is made. And like I say, we use two different tools, either Citrix ADM tool, formerly MAS, or Logic Monitor to perform that backup and restore.
Right, and if you know, a bare metal restore was ever needed, then this would be sufficient to start from scratch.
Sean, on that note, give me the 30-second rundown on why you would purchase one of the management tools.
Well, obviously monitoring is key, right? So monitoring to ensure that anytime there's any downtime with one of your VIPs or a service that you're alerted to that, you can take action to remediate the problem. I guess in addition to that, you know, ADM allows you to get a better understanding of your network traffic, how it's flowing, whether or not you have any kind of communication issues. And it provides a single dashboard for reviewing all that information, a little more robust and a little more tuned specifically to NetScalers or ADCs than Logic Monitor is. So if that is something that the customer has, we definitely like to leverage that and use that to manage the NetScalers or the ADCs.
And as part of our managed services, if a customer owns that, we can leverage that and help them manage.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Any other questions?
You feel that? So this is Sean. Yes, that's something that we absolutely do. So we renew existing certifications as well as submit CSRs or certificate signing requests for new certificates. And it's something that is part of our standard managed services offering. So we manage the, you know, installing the root and the intermediate certs and all the bindings, as well as binding it to the VIP or your SSL load balancer.
Yeah, and in addition to that as well, you know, we track the certificate expirations and ensure that we have enough lead time for all of the processes to be executed comfortably.
Awesome. Any last questions?
Nope, that does it for the questions, at least that I'm seeing so far in chat. And just as a reminder, we will be sending out the recording of today's webinar. So I'll hand it back over to Robert to close things up. But if in case you joined late or want to take a look at this again, you will be receiving the recording so you can watch at your convenience.
Yeah, and I appreciate everybody joining today. Along with that recording, we'll also be sharing out a copy of the slide deck for you to review. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm sure you have my email address by now, but it's robert.lovelace@coretek.com. We can talk through any sort of scenarios that you may have, whether you're looking at trying to understand which ADC is right for you, all the way down to specifics, support questions, or into our managed service offerings that we have. Again, I appreciate you joining today. Have a great week. Thank you.